Assalamu alaikum. Hey guys, this is Abdul Shahid from Quranic Connection TV and welcome back to the Daily Quran Challenge. In this session, we are talking about the verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَاعِيلُ رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here, like when talking about Ibrahim alayhi salam, like when Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, when they were building the foundation, of the Kaaba, they made a dua. They said, Rabbana taqabbal minna. Oh Allah, accept this from us. So look, the lesson that I'd like to derive from this is that they were people of action. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to be people of action. Like Allah didn't create you to be like sedentary, like always sitting around doing nothing. Like life is not about doing nothing. When you do nothing, nothing comes to you. Even if you attain things in your life, like you won't feel like the physical benefits. Like life is about action. Life is about knowing, doing and reaping, right? Knowing, you have the knowledge. Doing, you take the action. And reaping, you reap the reward. Now in this verse here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about Ibrahim alayhi salam when he was commanded to establish the house of Allah. Now when he established the house of Allah, he was building it with his son Ismail alayhi salam. And what did they do? As they took action, they made dua. They took action and they asked Allah to accept it, because they know that for that action to be accepted and for them to gain the utmost reward, the maximum out of it, like they need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Ibrahim alayhi salam, he teaches us a very important lesson here. Like one, as you're taking action, this is the Prophet of Allah. Can you imagine the Prophet of Allah, a builder, building with his son, right? A Prophet of Allah is a builder, building the house of Allah on the face of this earth, right? And building things is what we need to be doing. Like Muslims, we need to be people that build things. We need to build the masajid. We need to build institutions. We need to build the world. Like that's what we were created for. We have to follow our forefathers, our forefathers, the people like Ibrahim alayhi salam. Like these people, they were sent to us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us about them because they were the greatest of people. And Allah created you and I to be from the greatest of people. So to become the greatest of people, we have to behave like them and act like them, because this is what made them the great people. They took action in their lives. They had knowledge of Allah. When they had knowledge of Allah, then they had certainty, and they took actions. And when they took actions, they made dua to connect their actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you do something good in your life, like what do? Like connect it to Allah. Like don't just do it for the dunya. Like you're giving charity. Like give that charity and connect it to Allah. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it. But look at what Ibrahim alayhi salam said. He said, "Innaka anta as-sami'ul alim." Like indeed you are the one, as-sami', that hears everything. Al-alim, that knows everything, right? So he is calling Allah using two of his beautiful names. So that's another lesson that we take here, that when Ibrahim alayhi salam would make a dua, he would make it making tawassul, like asking Allah by the virtue of two of his beautiful names. So to know the names and attributes of Allah is absolutely imperative, because when you know the names and attributes of Allah, you know Allah. Like to understand who Allah is, you need to know the names and attributes of Allah. So when you know the names and attributes of Allah, you understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Like we have a limited understanding. Our understanding of who Allah is comes through revelation. Allah teaches us through the Quran and the Sunnah who He subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And so when you know Allah, then you know that Allah is in your life on a daily basis. You know that Allah sees everything, hears everything, knows everything. You can't hide anything inside you except that Allah knows about it. You can't say anything except that Allah heard it. Even if no one else heard it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears everything. So here, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he takes action, building like one of the greatest structures on the face of the planet, the Kaaba. He builds and he makes the dua, oh Allah, accept it from me. He's the Prophet of Allah, and he's making a dua asking Allah to accept it. What about you and I? When we do a good deed, do we ask Allah to accept it? Do we feel as though maybe Allah won't accept it because maybe I'm not 100% sincere with this? Maybe I had some other motives, like there's something in it for me, right? So when we do a deed, whether there's something in it for me and something in it for someone else, but we're doing it because it's a good deed, then ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it. Ask Allah by His most beautiful names. And that's the way to gain the best status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah teaches us this for a reason, because Allah is telling us, be like this, be like Ibrahim alayhi salam, be like Ismail alayhi salam, be like the Anbiya be like the prophets and the messengers, be like them. Why? Because they were the best of people, and you and I, we've been created to be from the best, and to be the best you have to emulate the best, and the best way to do that is to model other people's success. If you want to be successful, model someone else's success. Now, if you want to be successful in the deen, you have to model the success of the best of people, and those are the Anbiya wa Rusul, the prophets and the messengers. So inshallah, I'm going to leave you with that. Don't forget, leave your comments. I'd love to hear how you're benefiting from these verses as you're reflecting upon it. So inshallah ta'ala, I'll see you in the next session. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.